This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
They did nothing this offseason.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Corona, Gravely Zero Turn Lawnmowers, Jackson Lumber, Team Impact, Blue Moon Belgian White, and FindMassMoney.gov.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Wong throwing down. Here's the tag. He's out. He got him. That's the ball game. Well, they are going to look at it.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. The runner is out.
And there it is. The Red Sox win.
All right, there you go. That's how it ended at Fenway Park yesterday. Red Sox beat the Washington Nationals in a game that was filled with Washington mistakes. I think the Nationals ran into 5 outs on the bases yesterday. 5 outs, if you can believe that. 4-2 was the final over at Fenway Park. No, I'm sorry. I think it was 3-2. I get the wrong game. That was yesterday's box right. Yesterday was 3-2. Saturday was 4-2. Couple of tight games, but 500 club, the Nationals. They like to run. Red Sox take 2 out of 3. So this is where we're going to start. 617-779-0985. Tampa Bay Rays are now in town. We'll get to them in just a bit because I know Jimmy Stewart has a particular thought as it relates to the Tampa Bay Rays vis-a-vis the Red Sox. Maybe the two aren't actually all that different. We can get to that in just a bit. But we'll open up the phone lines right away. And again, I told you 617-779-0985. If you want to talk baseball, now is your only chance. We will be with you until 6:30 tonight, at which point we'll turn it over to Celtics pregame. Max and Grandy. I had a little brain lock there for
It's the fastest 30 minutes in the NBA, Tony.
Seriously, Jimmy, I had a little brain lock. Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell take you right up until 7 o'clock. When they will toss the ball up in the air, have the opening tip, play the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 4. Celtics lead that series 2-1. And as Jim Murray just reported, Donovan Mitchell, Cleveland's star player, 33 points in the last game, really the only guy who kept Cleveland in it, out with a strained calf, will not play tonight. No Donovan Mitchell. So, feels like, boy, the doors just continue to open for the Celtics, don't they? It's amazing. Even the series that are easy are becoming easier, if that's possible.
Let's hope they don't stub their toe, Tony.
But enough of that. Back to the Red Sox. Let me ask this question, and I'm serious when I say this. I need some help with somebody who can give me the odds of this happening yesterday. The way that game ended yesterday was with a base runner being thrown out stealing to end the game. The base runner was Jacob Young. Believe he was a pinch runner in the game. The Nationals put him in. They were down 1. They needed to get him into scoring position with 2 outs. Kenley Jansen was on the mound. So there was a golden opportunity for the Nationals to steal a base, get their guy into scoring position, and then tie the game with a hit. That was all the logic. That was how it went down at Fenway Park. Kenley Jansen again gave up a hit. Young went in the game. Young was thrown out stealing. Now here's the part that I would love for someone to figure out for me using a formula, because I'm not smart enough to be able to pull this off. Alex Cora, by the way, after the game was asked about the final out of the game, winning the game. And Cora said, well, this kind of went down. I'm not sure I've ever seen this happen. And I always take it to heart when someone who's spent a lifetime in the game makes this kind of comment, because Cora has played, seen, watched a lot of baseball, as we all know. The first out of the game yesterday was a caught stealing. The last out of the game was a caught stealing. So Connor Wong threw out a couple of guys, which in and of itself is noteworthy because the Red Sox have been kind of dog crap at doing that this year. Now I want to add in the particulars. So I don't know if somebody has a pen or a piece of paper and a pencil and can write these down, but I'm going to give you the generalities first, and then we'll get to the specifics. First of all, against the Red Sox this year, opponents were 30 of 36 on stolen base attempts. 30 of 36. That is 83.3%. The Nationals, who have run more than any team in the game, or I should say at least as much, but I'm pretty sure they have the most steals in baseball. The Nationals are 68 for 82 in stolen base attempts. They have 68 steals, 14 caught stealing. So let me do that real quick because I think I did this wrong earlier. So you're going to have to give me a second here to figure this out. 68 divided by 82 is 829. Okay, so that's 82.9% success rate. So basically it says, without taking the individual players into account, the Red Sox have allowed 83% stolen base rate. The Nationals have succeeded 83% of the time. Okay, you got that so far, Jimmy? Because I see you scribbling away back there. I don't know if you're actually writing down what I'm saying, but I
No, Dennis Knutson, F and Dennis had to call me because we're setting up something, so I had to stop writing down.
Okay,
because
no
we had a
worries.
technical thing.
So again, the Red Sox this year have allowed steals 83% of the time. The Nationals have succeeded 83% of the time. So that would tell me, without any sort of shock, that the Nationals had an 83% chance of completing that steal, of executing that stolen base yesterday. They got thrown out. Now listen to this. This is the part that really interests me. Jacob Young, the pinch runner for the Nationals yesterday, 13 of 14 this season, had only been caught once. 92.9%. Kenley Jansen this season had allowed 2 of 2 steal attempts. Jansen, as we know, one of the slowest deliveries in the game. Guys have run against him like crazy over the course of his career. In fact, when he came to Boston, 93% of all base stealers had succeeded. So again, Jacob Young, 93% success rate. Kenley Jansen, before he got to Boston, 93% of all base stealers had stolen. The Red Sox this year had allowed an 83% success rate. The Nationals had stolen 83% of the time successfully. If you add all of those things together and then give me the particulars of Young versus Jansen, what are the chances that the Red Sox were going to end that game by throwing out a base stealer yesterday? The number has to be astronomically low, which at the end of the day, I take as meaning the Red Sox kind of had a horseshoe up their ass yesterday. So the Nationals ran into a crap ton of outs. The Red Sox threw them out on the bases. Good for them. But the chances of it happening and ending that way, microscopic. Anyway, that's a long way to get to. I left out some numbers here that would skew the argument, but you get the idea.
It filled the segment, Tony, which is most important.
Jansen on the mound, who can barely hold the ball in his hand, let alone a runner at first base. A guy on first base who was 13 of 14 in steal attempts, and a team that can't stop the run against a team that runs effectively. And it ended with a caught stealing. With a catcher, by the way, who hasn't been able to throw anybody out for the majority of the year. Not to mention, it's a good thing Reese McGuire wasn't behind the plate or you'd had no chance. 617-779-0985. Nick in Providence. Nick, what do you got?
Hey, Tony. Yeah, so Bayo's kind of pissed me off this year, and I'm not sure why. I mean, it only took him one outing to have given up as many home runs as Devers has so far this month, and that Devers is another sticking point for me. But this is the reason why this team needs depth, why you can't depend on one pitcher, one hitter, and it's showing in these games. And they should be blowing out a team like the Nationals, in my opinion. But people like Devers are holding them back with strikeout after strikeout, and Bayo can't find his – I mean – I don't know, Tony. I just wanted to call because I haven't been able to talk about the Red Sox, and I think Bayo is overblown. I think Devers is overblown. I think that this team needs some other support other than those two guys that they're depending on.
Okay, so Nick, here you go. Bayo just came back yesterday. So what I would say with Bayo is cut him a little slack because he just came off the injured list. Your complaints about Devers are fair. I mean, a guy like that has got to carry the team. But you may have picked the wrong weekend to do it or the wrong Monday to do it. Because Devers actually factored into that series significantly over the weekend. We'll explain to you We'll explain that to you, rather, when we come back in the baseball hour.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony.
Is over the head of Rosario. Here comes a run. One man in. Here comes O'Neill. He's going to score. Devers comes through. The Red Sox on top for the first time today, 4-2.
It's that kind of year so far for the Red Sox. It's going to be that way all year, I think. But Rafael Devers, tie game, 2-2 in the eighth inning. 2 on, 2 outs, game on the line. hits a double over the head of the left fielder. 2 runs come across the score. The Red Sox win the game 4-2. And we had a caller last segment complaining about the overall, performance of some of the Red Sox key guys, that they don't have a lot of depth. And so there are a couple of guys in that Red Sox lineup that you really look at, or Red Sox roster is what I should say, that you look at and say, well, they've got to pull their weight. Devers being one of them. Jimmy, if I were to ask you what kind of year Rafael Devers is having, and you were to say, I think you'd be right. 29 games, 14 RBI, 4 home runs. Easy guy to look at and say they need more from him.
And he missed some time with injury as well. So he was hitting with an injured shoulder at one point. So those numbers are going to be down.
So now, again, if you want to get into the metrics of it and the advanced analytics, the nerds will tell you that like RBI are a outdated stat. It's a volume stat that's reliant on opportunities and base runners.
But how else are you going to score the runs unless somebody drives them in? Do you want the catcher to just drop the ball and let it go past him?
Okay, and I agree with you. The 4 home runs, Devers can control that. And he's slugging .481. That number should be higher. He should be a guy that slugs over 500, but that's not egregious. Here's the part that I find interesting about Devers. In OPS right now, he's 4th in baseball at his position. 4th in the game. So in the time he's been out there, he's been productive. 4th in baseball, and Milliken is a big believer, and I'm citing Tyler Milliken now just because I need someone to pick on. But Tyler, big believer in OPS plus. Where you rank in OPS relative to the average hitter at your position. Factors in ballpark, some other variables. Rafael Devers' OPS plus, the highest of his career. 146 means he's 46% better than the average player at his position. 46%. So this idea that Devers is having a quote-unquote bad year, I don't think it's necessarily true. Now, the defense has been garbage, but in the time he's been out there, Devers has hit. Now, the question is the productivity there in terms of runs that people want? No. But I would tell you that's really more of a reflection on the Red Sox lineup than it is on Devers. And if you're one of those people out there who believes that Rafael Devers is a problem, then you have not been watching the Red Sox closely. Which brings me to this. I'll tell you what, actually, let me do this because I'll get to Jimmy Stewart in a minute. Jay in Concord, go ahead. Jay, what do you got?
Hey, guys. Hey, Maz, I think you're one of the best baseball minds nationally, not just in Boston.
I appreciate
I think you're way off base with Devers. He's project that out. And the fact that he's injured, that's not a cop-out. That's him being out of shape. So he's on a pace right now to hit about 42 RBI. I'm sorry, are we roughly a third of the way through the season?
That's about right, ballpark.
Yeah. 287, 12 home runs, 42 RBI. And he's making, $13 an hour? This is unacceptable. And I don't know why you're letting him off the hook.
Okay, so
that is unacceptable. And I love you, Maz. Have a good night.
Yeah, Jay, I'm not letting him off the hook. I'm just telling you again, and I don't know if you're an analytics guy or not, and I was wrong. It's about a quarter of the way through the season, not a third. So those numbers are a little higher. But again, not significantly. 14 RBIs, 56 RBI. It's garbage. It's a garbage total for a guy like that. But the analysts want to tell me, or the nerds, the analytics people will tell you that RBI are a bad way to assess a player's value. That OPS is a better way to do it. Or WAR, what have you. Now, again, WAR factors in the amount of time you were on the field. Devers did miss some time. They've played 40 games. Devers has only played 29, so he missed about 11 games, which at this stage of the year is not insignificant. I mean, if he misses 11 games every 25% of the season, well, then he's only playing in about 116 games or whatever the hell that is, or 118 games, something like that. You get the idea. So that hardly qualifies as earning your money. But the RBI, is that his fault if his OPS is 4th in the league? Or are they just not getting people on base because their lineup kind of sucks? Or is average? So he's missed time. The lineup's average. Here's what I'm getting at with Devers. He's the least of your problems. He's the least of your problems. Which brings me to tonight's opponent, the Tampa Bay Rays. Jimmy Stewart, do you remember what you said to me before the show today?
I do.
What did you say?
I asked if you would be, since the Rays are in town and they play 7 games in the next 10 days, it's the Rays and the Red Sox, who would you rather be right now, the Rays or the Red Sox? And I asked that because the model of baseball right now, or for many teams, is the Tampa Rays and how they build it with a bunch of no names and a bunch of just maximum velocity. So how have the Red Sox done in mirroring that model?
So we used to ask this about the Patriots, and this goes back many, many years now. But the Patriots went through a stage there where after they lost to the Indianapolis Colts in the 2006 AFC Championship game, they went out and got Randy Moss and Wes Welker. And Felger was fond of saying the Patriots were intent on becoming more like the Indianapolis Colts, and unfortunately they succeeded. Because the Patriots then went pretty much, 10 years without winning a Super Bowl, which is what the Colts were under Peyton Manning. For the amount of talent they had, they weren't the kind of team that could win championships. Well, I'll use the same kind of logic now and apply it to the Red Sox. If the Red Sox want to be the Tampa Bay Rays, well, guess what? They're succeeding. And you ask, which team would you rather be right now, Jimmy? I can tell you that if I had to guess, the business people over at Fenway Park, meaning upper management and ownership, would rather be Tampa because they have a hell of a lot lower payroll and they'd be making a crap ton more money. So this year against losing teams, the Red Sox are 14-4. Tampa Bay is 15-11. So both of them can beat bad competition. You know what they are against winning teams? The Red Sox are 7-15. Basically, 1 out of every 3 games they win. Tampa 5-10. 1 out of every 3 games they win. These two teams are virtual carbon copies of one another. Very similar teams this year. Now, I'm not going into the details of OPS, ERA, etc. Tampa lost some players. Glasnow's in L.A., lighting it up with the Dodgers. You get the idea. But, I don't know. Dodgers have Glasnow. Dodgers have Mookie Betts. Maybe that works.
The difference, though, is Tampa's kicked your ass since 2019, since you fired Dave Dombrowski, and Tampa is 27-53 against the Red Sox. That's an ass whooping.
Now, before we go, because, again, we're wrapping up at 6:30 today. Celtics pregame coming up shortly. Can I just say this? That the annual Who's Your Caddy Classic is coming up in June next month to benefit the pediatric advanced care team at Children's Hospital Boston. This is a personal endeavor of mine. If you want to play in the tournament, those foursomes will go on sale tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You have to go to our website, 985thesportshub.com/caddy, in order to try to get into the tournament. All the information is there. That said, this year, as part of efforts to fundraise for this event, we did auction off, and bids on this are now closed. But we auctioned off a foursome with Fred, Toucher, and Hardy from the morning show, and another one with myself and Felger from the afternoon show. We haven't done this before. Now, between all those items, I think we came in around $11,000, Jimmy Stewart. Is that right?
That's correct.
Which is amazing. Amazing. Felger and I alone came in at about almost $7,500 for that foursome.
7,625.
Amazing.
To watch Felger and you do show prep.